There is a moment in every life when the excitement fades, the applause stops, and no one is watching anymore. That moment is where your real life begins. Not when you start, not when you announce it, but when the feeling that started you has long since disappeared and you must decide whether you will continue. Most people will not. Most people will quit quietly. They will not call it quitting. They will call it timing. They will call it priorities. They will call it being realistic. But deep inside, they will know what it really was. They gave up on the version of themselves they once promised to become. Let me ask you something. How many times have you started something and never finished it? How many notebooks did you buy with the belief that this time would be different? How many Mondays did you call the beginning of your transformation only to forget the promise by Wednesday? How many dreams have died, not because they were impossible, but because you stopped showing up for them? Think about that. Think about that slowly, because the truth is, the world is not full of people who lack talent. The world is full of people who lack the discipline to continue when the feeling left. Here is the truth most people ignore. Motivation is a guest. Discipline is the host. Motivation visits when conditions are perfect. Discipline shows up at 5 a.m, when the bed is warm, when the body is tired, when the mind is whispering excuses. Motivation says, maybe tomorrow. Discipline says, not tomorrow, today, now, while it is still hard. That is the difference between the person who builds a life and the person who only dreams about one. Now listen carefully. The reason most people never reach the life they want is not because they cannot see it. They can see it clearly. They imagine it in vivid detail. They feel it in their chest at night when no one is around. The reason they never reach it is because the bridge between where they are and where they want to be is built brick by brick, day by day, action by action. And most people refuse to lay the bricks on the days when the wind is cold. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Without that bridge, every goal is just a wish, and every wish is just a fantasy that visits and leaves. So let us make this practical. Let us be honest with each other. You did not come here to be entertained. You came here because something inside you is tired of starting over. Something inside you is tired of restarting the same January, the same diet, the same workout, the same book, the same business idea. You are ready for a different conversation. You are ready to stop quitting on yourself. And that is exactly what we are going to talk about today. 6 lessons, 6 disciplines, 6 ways to build the kind of consistency that does not collapse the moment life becomes inconvenient. 1. Stop waiting to feel ready. Most people are waiting for a feeling that will never arrive. They are waiting to feel confident before they speak. They are waiting to feel inspired before they write. They are waiting to feel strong before they begin. But readiness is not a feeling. Readiness is a decision. The most successful people in this world did not wait until fear left. They moved forward while fear was still standing next to them. They did not wait for clarity. They created clarity through motion. They understood something most people will never understand. Action comes first. The feeling follows. Think about that. Think about it carefully. How much of your life have you postponed because you were waiting to feel like it? How many calls have you not made? How many books have you not opened? How many conversations have you not started? How many workouts have you skipped because the body said no? Now, here is the question that will change your life if you let it. Who would you be today if you had done all those things anyway? Let me tell you something important. Discipline is not the absence of resistance. Discipline is action despite resistance. The person who runs only when they feel like running is not a runner. They are a person who occasionally moves. The person who runs even when they do not feel like it, even in the rain, even when tired, even when their friends are sleeping, that person is becoming something. That person is building an identity. That person is no longer at the mercy of moods. They have learned the most powerful skill a human being can develop. They have learned to govern themselves. Now understand this deeply. Every time you act in spite of the feeling, you weaken the power that feeling has over you. Every time you obey the feeling, you give it more authority over your life. Discipline is a muscle. Every repetition makes it stronger. Every avoidance makes it weaker. And the muscle you train is the muscle that will define your future. So stop waiting to feel ready. The boldest version of you is not somewhere in the future, waiting to arrive when conditions are perfect. The boldest version of you is buried under hesitation. You uncover that version not by waiting, but by acting. Not by feeling, but by moving. That is where everything begins. 2. Make the commitment smaller than your resistance. Here is something most people do wrong from day one. They set goals so large that their nervous system rebels. They promise themselves they will work out for 2 hours every day after years of inactivity. They promise to read 50 books this year after not finishing one last year. They promise to wake at 4 a.m. after struggling to wake at 8. And when reality meets ambition, the system collapses. They feel ashamed. They feel like failures. And they quit. Not because the goal was wrong, but because the entry point was too high. Let me ask you something. What if the answer to your discipline problem is not more willpower, but a smaller doorway? What if your problem is not that you are weak, but that you keep trying to lift a weight you have not earned the strength to lift yet? Think about that. Successful people understand something different. They know that the goal of the first week is not transformation. The goal of the first week is not to quit. The goal of the first month is not to dominate. The goal is to stay in the game. Because momentum is built through unbroken chains of small actions, not through dramatic gestures that collapse within 7 days. Here is the truth. 1 push-up a day will change your life more than 100 push-ups every Sunday and silence the rest of the week. 1 page a day, 1 paragraph a day, 1 phone call a day, 1 small act of discipline you can absolutely guarantee, even on your worst day, even when you are sick, even when you are exhausted, even when life is falling apart. That is the foundation. From that foundation, everything else grows. Now listen carefully. Consistency over intensity. Always, always, always. The person who shows up small every day will quietly pass the person who shows up massive once a month and then disappears. That is not opinion. That is mathematics. That is the law of compounding applied to human behavior. The seed does not become a tree by growing 5 feet in one afternoon. The seed becomes a tree by adding a quiet, almost invisible amount each day, year after year, until one day it casts a shadow no storm can move. That is who you are becoming. Not in dramatic leaps, in quiet repetitions, in small, steady, unbreakable promises kept to yourself when no one is watching. So stop trying to transform overnight. Make the commitment so small it would be embarrassing to break. Then keep it. Then keep it again. Then keep it on the day you most want to break it. Because that day, the day you most want to skip, is the day your old self dies and a new identity is born. 3. Remove the friction before you need willpower. Most people lose the battle before it begins. They place their phone next to their bed and then wonder why they cannot focus in the morning. They keep junk food in the kitchen and then blame themselves for eating it at midnight. They surround themselves with people who drain their energy and then wonder why they have no energy left for their dreams. They are fighting a war on a battlefield they themselves designed for defeat. Here is the hard truth. Discipline is not just an internal force. Discipline is also an environmental design. The strongest person in the world will eventually lose if their environment is constantly working against them. And the weakest person in the world can win if their environment is built to support their decisions. So if you want to stop relying on willpower, stop testing your willpower. Remove the friction. Reshape the environment. Make the right action easier than the wrong one. Let me ask you something. What is in your environment right now that is silently sabotaging the person you say you want to become? What is on your phone? What is in your kitchen? What is in your living room? What conversations are you allowing to fill your ears? Who are you allowing to shape your moods? Think about it carefully, because every environment is teaching you something. Every environment is voting for a future version of you. And if your environment is voting against the person you say you want to become, your willpower will eventually lose the election. Now understand this deeply. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. You fall to the level of your environment. You fall to the level of your defaults. Your defaults are what you do when you are tired. Your defaults are what you reach for when you are stressed. Your defaults are what you choose when you are not thinking. And the entire game of discipline is rigged by your defaults. So change the defaults. Put the running shoes by the door. Put the water bottle on the desk. Put the book on the pillow. Put the phone in the other room. Mute the accounts that make you feel small. Unfollow the noise that makes you forget your mission. Surround yourself with the kind of people who do not need to be convinced that you can win. The cost of this redesign is one uncomfortable weekend. The reward is the rest of your life. 4. Keep promises to yourself, especially the small ones. There is a quiet tragedy in modern life that almost no one talks about. People keep their promises to everyone else and break their promises to themselves. They show up for the meeting. They show up for the friend. They show up for the boss. They show up for the family. But the appointment they made with themselves at 5 in the morning, the appointment to read, to write, to train, to plan, to pray, to grow, that one they cancel. And they cancel without guilt because they have learned that the person they hurt most often will forgive them. The problem is that person stops trusting them. Now think about what happens inside a person who breaks promises to themselves for years. They become someone who does not believe themselves. They begin to assume before they even begin a project that they will not finish it. They begin to discount their own ambition. They no longer take their own dreams seriously. They have, through years of broken inner agreements, lost faith in their own word. And when you do not believe your own word, no goal feels real. No vision feels possible. Because deep down, you know what your track record says about you. Here is the truth. The most important relationship in your life is the one between you and your word. If you cannot trust your own promises, no amount of strategy will save you. Strategy assumes execution, and execution assumes a person who keeps their commitments. So the rebuilding of discipline does not start with a giant goal. It starts with a small one, a promise, made to yourself, kept by yourself, witnessed by yourself, done. Let me tell you something important. Self-respect is not given. Self-respect is built, brick by brick. Every kept promise lays a brick. Every broken promise removes one. After enough years of building or removing, you live in a building that reflects your relationship with your own word. Some people live in palaces of self-trust. Some people live in ruins of self-doubt. The difference is not luck. The difference is the small, daily, unwitnessed promises kept or broken in private. So start today. Make one promise. Just one. Make it small. Make it specific. Make it so realistic that breaking it would be a deliberate act of self-betrayal. Then keep it. Then make another. Then another. Within 90 days, you will look in the mirror and see a different human being. Not because your face has changed, because your relationship with yourself has changed. 5. Train yourself to act without applause. The world will not clap for your discipline. Not in the beginning. Not when it matters most. The world claps for the harvest, not the planting. The world claps for the trophy, not the training. The world claps for the published book, not the lonely mornings spent writing it. And if you require applause in order to continue, you will quit before the world ever notices you started. Most people are addicted to recognition. They want to be seen working. They want their effort acknowledged. They want a witness for every sacrifice. And because nobody applauds the long, invisible middle of any meaningful work, they lose energy in the silence. The discipline collapses. The vision fades. They wonder why they cannot stay consistent. The answer is they are running on the wrong fuel. They are running on attention, and attention is an unreliable engine. Now understand this deeply. The people who build extraordinary lives have trained themselves to act without applause. They have learned to enjoy the discipline itself. They have learned to find satisfaction in the doing, not in the praise. They have learned to be witnessed by something deeper than other people, their own standards, their own values, their own future self. And because their fuel is internal, they cannot be stopped by external silence. Let me ask you something. Can you do the work when no one knows you are doing it? Can you train when there is no one to impress? Can you save when there is no one to notice? Can you read when there is no one to share it with? Can you pray, plan, prepare, and persist in absolute silence with no audience, no likes, no recognition, no applause? Because that is the test. That is the real test of who you are. Here is something powerful. The most valuable things you will ever build will be built in the dark, before anyone believes in you. The book before the publisher, the body before the photos, the business before the customers, the character before the reputation. Everyone wants the spotlight. Almost no one wants the rehearsal hall. And yet the rehearsal hall is where everything is actually built. So become the kind of person who does not need to be seen. Become the kind of person who finds their reward in the work itself. Become the kind of person who would do this even if no one ever knew. Because here's the strange paradox of life. When you stop needing the applause eventually arrives. But by then, it does not own you. It cannot move you. It cannot stop you. Because you already became someone before anyone noticed. 6. Recommit faster than you fall. Now listen carefully, because this lesson might save your life. You will fall. Every disciplined person falls. The myth of perfect consistency is exactly that, a myth. Even the most disciplined human beings on this planet have missed days, broken streaks, fallen off plans, betrayed their own intentions. The difference between them and everyone else is not that they never fall. The difference is the speed of their return. Most people, when they fall, treat it like the end of the season. They miss one workout and abandon the year. They eat one bad meal and waste the week. They miss one morning and stop reading for a month. They fall once and call themselves a failure. Then they wait for January to start again. That is not a discipline problem. That is a recovery problem. And almost every person who has ever lost their way has lost it through slow recovery, not through the initial fall. Here is the truth. The fall does not define you. The return defines you. The person who falls and gets up the same day is unstoppable. The person who falls and gets up the next morning is still strong. The person who falls and waits a week to return has weakened their identity. The person who falls and never returns has chosen to make the fall their identity. So train one skill above almost all others. Train the skill of fast recovery. Now understand this deeply. Discipline is not a streak. Discipline is a relationship. You are not trying to be perfect. You are trying to stay loyal. Loyalty allows for mistakes. Loyalty does not allow for abandonment. A loyal husband may make mistakes, but he does not leave. A loyal friend may forget a birthday, but they do not disappear. Be loyal to your discipline. Make mistakes, miss days, but never disappear. Never abandon the relationship. Always come back. Always. Let me tell you something important. The day you most want to skip is the most important day of your life. The day after a fall is the most important day of your life. Because what you do on that day decides whether the fall becomes a wound or a scar. Wounds heal. Scars define. If you return the next day, the fall heals quietly. If you stay down, the fall becomes a story you tell yourself for years to explain why you never built the life you wanted. So fall if you must. We all do. But promise yourself this. You will not stay down. You will not negotiate with despair. You will not let one bad day rewrite your identity. You will get up. You will recommit. You will come back faster than you fell. And every time you do, you will become harder to defeat. Now let me bring all of this together. 6 disciplines. 1 direction. Stop waiting to feel ready. Make the commitment small enough that you will keep it. Remove the friction before you need willpower. Keep your promises to yourself with the seriousness you give to others. Train yourself to work in silence, without applause. And every time you fall, recommit faster than you fall. 6 simple disciplines, practiced every day. That is the formula. That has always been the formula. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. That is not poetry. That is a law. Let me ask you something honest. What has hesitation already cost you? How many years have you spent waiting for a feeling that does not come on demand? How many opportunities have passed because you wanted certainty before you wanted growth? How many versions of yourself have you abandoned because you were not willing to be uncomfortable in private? Think about that. Think about that slowly. Because those losses cannot be recovered, but they can be stopped. Today, right now, with one decision. Here is the truth most people ignore. The life you want is not waiting somewhere in the future. The life you want is built into your daily choices, hidden inside the boring, unglamorous repetitions that no one will ever celebrate. The early morning when no one sees you. The disciplined no when everyone is saying yes. The book you read instead of the show you watched. The quiet hour of work when others are scrolling. These are the bricks. Nobody is going to compliment you for laying 1 brick. But laid faithfully for 1,000 days, those bricks become a castle. And that castle is your life. Now understand this deeply. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not broken. You are simply someone who has been waiting for a different kind of conversation with themselves. And maybe today is the day that conversation begins. Maybe today is the day you stop bargaining with discipline and start respecting it. Maybe today is the day you decide that the small, unwitnessed actions matter more than the loud, public declarations. Because in the end, life is not given to the loud. Life is given to the consistent. Let me leave you with this. Time is more valuable than money. You can get more money. You cannot get more time. Every day you delay, you spend something you cannot earn back. Every day you postpone, the gap grows wider between the person you are and the person you could become. But every day you act, even small, even quietly, even imperfectly, you close that gap. And the closing of that gap over years is what becoming is. The major value in life is not what you get. The major value is what you become. And what you become is decided by what you repeat. So start today. Not Monday, not next month, not when conditions are perfect. Today, make the small promise. Keep it tonight. Keep it again tomorrow. Remove what is in the way. Stop waiting for the feeling. Stop performing for applause. And when you fall, because you will fall, recommit faster than you fell. Do this for 90 days and you will not recognize the person you became. Do this for a year and people around you will not recognize you. Do this for a decade and the life you once dreamed about will be the life you wake up inside of every single day. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Walk that bridge. Walk it on the loud days. Walk it on the silent days. Walk it on the days you want to quit. Walk it especially then. Because on the other side of that bridge is the person you have always known you could be. The person waiting quietly for you to finally show up. Stop waiting. Stop drifting. Stop quitting on yourself. Keep going. Keep building. Keep returning. Because in the end, the discipline you practice today is not just shaping your habits. It is shaping your identity. It is shaping your destiny. And the future you want is not somewhere out there. It is being decided right now by what you choose to do in the next 24 hours. So choose well, choose quietly, choose consistently, and never, never quit on the person you are becoming.